dog was admitted to the Pasadena Humane Society on February 17, 2016. Just like him and other dogs that are there, will never see a chance for a new home. So many people today actually own a loving animal, but they don't actually consider the other animals that are there at the Humane Society that don't find a home. So I have done extensive research with this topic, and I am such like a dog lover. I will try to find any dog on the street, take it home with me. Just recently I found a dog on the street. I put it in my car, took it home, gave it a bath, and then found his owners. So, like I said, there are many dogs in the shelters that actually don't have homes, and in order to make room for the other dogs that come in, they have to be euthanized. First, I will talk about the problems with euthanization within the shelters. Then I will talk about the causes, and then I will talk about some solutions that can be made. So, to start off, according to earthisland.org, Americans surrender about 12 million animals to the shelters every year, half of whom are killed. Moreover, according to this website, out of all the numbers that are admitted, only 15% of the animals will be adopted. Even though this is like a small number, there are still a lot of animals that go to owners, but they don't really necessarily find perfect homes because at times people just bring them back because they don't think that they fit well with their family. So, pets that can become part of your family, they become just like a man's best friend, like everyone knows. And recently, last year, I actually adopted a dog, and he became part of our family. And even though like he has his problems, he just is such a loving animal. Excuse me. Millions of animals are surrendered to the shelters by their owners due to the fact because they can't, if they move, their apartments don't actually allow them to have pets. So they just take their animals to the shelters so they can just surrender them, so hopefully they can find a new home. But this is not necessarily true. According to earthisland.org as well, 35% of the people said if their rentals permitted them to have an animal, they would have one. Now that I have talked about some of the problems about euthanization, I will talk about the causes. According to the ASPCA, there are many dogs that are brought in to the shelters, and 2.7 of them are actually euthanized. The three main causes within the shelters for them being euthanized would be including illness, aggression, and overpopulation within the shelters. So, like I said, illness is one of the factors, but this is actually good for them if they're being euthanized because it's like the most humane way to actually kill an animal, even though that's really sad, but it's true. It just puts the animal out of its suffering. Illness is just because when they're out on the streets, they become to not be well nourished, and so they start to become really tiny and skinny, so they just become malnutritioned. And aggression, once they go into the shelters, many dogs aren't actually well known to people, so they actually just try to they have this form of protectiveness that they have once they're on the streets, so they just become really tense and they don't really open up to people, so they become aggressive towards others that become to walk by. They just become protective. So many people don't just want to adopt them because of that. So since there's overpopulation, they have to get rid of animals, so they have to euthanize them, which is really sad because even though they're not ill or anything, they're basically on a waiting list to die, which is unfortunate because they don't get a chance to actually start a new life with someone else. In the book, Killing Animals by the Animal Studies Group, it was said since there are so many animals that are saved from the streets and brought in by owners themselves, they have to allow the new animals a chance for a new life, and the old ones get replaced by them. So now that I have talked about some causes of euthanizations, I will now talk about some solutions that can be made. So one solution that can be made is for the owners to actually spay or neuter their animals. Recently, there has been an increase in spays and neuters in animals, but this can be increased because still there are so many dogs that are still having puppies or cats too, and there are just so many that are just on the streets, and owners don't really want to care for them, so they kind of just kick them out. And so with this, it could just stop the overpopulation that's within the animals that they have. According to Time's video on January 21st, 2016, it was said that there was a mobile adoption van that gave actually 700 dogs a new home. So this is actually a good idea to do because people sometimes can't go to the shelters, so why not bring the dogs to them? They actually can. If they see like an adoption van going around, they're gonna be like, oh, dogs. So they're gonna want to pet them, and then they're gonna bring the animals that have a better chance to actually be adopted. So there'll be puppies, or there'll be older dogs that maybe some adults don't want a puppy because like it's harder to train. According to the book Animal Euthanization by Suzanne Nanis, there is an overpopulation of dogs, and the public should have a better education of sterilization for their animals. So, like I said, if the public becomes better educated to actually to spay or neuter their animals, then it will allow them to just allow dogs not to be overpopulated in the shelters. And now that the Human Society actually puts a chip in their dog now, so if that dog runs away, they're able to track down the animal, so they can return it to their owner, so they have to take the dog back. So now that I have talked about some of the solutions that can be made for euthanizing animals, let's begin to wrap things up. Animal shelters do all that they can for the animals that they have there, but they have to at times put them down to sleep. The increase of time for dogs in the shelters can be better so they can have a better life. So first I talked about the problems of euthanization, then I talked about some causes, and then I talked about some solutions. An animal is just not an animal. You can actually make your animal one of your best friends. Thank you.